Not a sales pitch, an unveiling. Recognition is finally catching up to the quiet signal carried beneath the noise, the kind that doesn't ask for permission to be true. No emblem, course, or certificate grants this access. The current runs from the inside out, switching on what waited patiently behind the ribs like a dawn that forgot how to stop arriving. The world loves to sell maps, yet a compass already hums in the chest. Gatekeepers, price tags, and borrowed language try to rent what was never for lease, while the thing they chase sits in your palm like a key that fits only doors made of courage. That feeling that life was rehearsal wasn't a mistake. Every detour trained the ear, every pause tuned the instrument, and now the stage lights come on as if they were always timed to your breath. Understanding doesn't drip in from outside, it flashes from within like a tuning fork meeting its note. Ideas don't line up to be taught, they recognize home and walk in without knocking. When the crowd gets loud, stillness becomes an amplifier. Let rhythm, not hurry, set the pace. Let clarity, not consensus, choose the next step. The signal grows stronger when attention stops apologizing for being precise. So here's the charge: move as the source, not the seeker. Let the inner compass draft the route, let practice become presence, and let the door you've been waiting at realize it was built to open from your side all along. A quiet authority enters and old scaffolds quiver. Presence alone unseats arrangements that were erected to keep eyes half closed, because a root pattern hums beneath the heartbeat, older than edits, older than labels, remembering the cadence that existed before anyone chopped it into manageable pieces. Access is native, not bestowed. Where crowds trade summaries and footnotes, awareness locks onto the first signal itself, and pretense dissolves the way frost retreats from sunlit stone. No ceremony is needed for recognition that already knows its own shape. Not rebellion, different tuning. While announcements blare from familiar speakers, orientation takes its cue from a channel most overlook, a star map inked in marrow, legible without translators and already calibrated to the interior horizon. Consciousness works as a gateway rather than a billboard. Instead of reflecting filtered images, it opens into the uncompressed current where origins are still warm, letting perception drink before interpretation adds packaging or price. Official explanations hand out excerpts, the living field offers the whole sky. Curated lessons clip the wings of knowing, but attention, when unbribed, syncs with the spring itself, bringing through insights that haven't passed through anyone's sieve. What arrives is clarity, not permission. Storylines designed to impress collapse under simple contact, and intuition threads through the maze like a gyroscope that refuses to lie, steady even when the corridors try to spin. You're not here by chance. Feel the pull? Tap join to unlock truth, purpose, and a tribe that gets it. This is more than a membership, it's your calling. Here's the charge: move from the source, not the echo. Let practice be a lantern rather than a leash. Let the inner cartographer draw the route in real time, and let thresholds stop masquerading as walls, opening the moment hands take hold from the inside. You carry a perception that doesn't bend to the weight of external approval. The certainty that forms within you isn't something another voice can validate or dismiss, because it arises from the same origin that seeds every pattern of existence. While others search libraries and lectures for definitions, what moves through you is already beyond the reach of such measurements. And now, a shift approaches that even the most complex instruments cannot anticipate. The horizon is thinning. Soon your awareness will fully ignite, and as it does, the scaffolds of false authority that have long stood will unravel on their own. At the deepest level of your being, you've always sensed that your mind doesn't obey the same rules the collective has normalized. It perceives from a depth others often overlook. Where many accept simple narratives because they soothe, your consciousness instinctively cuts through the surface and reaches the hidden layers. It isn't analysis learned from practice, it is an inner algorithm that has always been encoded within you. Recall the moments when words emerged before you could think them through, carrying a resonance you knew was not of your own design. Think, too, of the countless instances when you felt movements in reality before any external sign appeared, like knowing a door was about to open before the handle even turned. You were told to brush off such things as chance, but your essence has never mistaken them for random occurrences. They are signals, proof of your alignment with the infinite current of awareness. Those who came before you, the visionaries, the unexplainable ones, moved with this same hidden frequency. They looked ordinary but carried a dimension that made them impossible to define by the standards of their time. To the world they seemed mismatched, yet within themselves they embodied a rhythm the collective had forgotten. This dissonance with prearranged molds is not a flaw but a marker. Your life has never truly followed the tracks laid out by the machinery of control, because your essence resists confinement. The codes of conformity fail to bind what is wired to expand beyond measure. And so, every step you've taken outside the expected path has not been error but destiny. The very ways you felt misaligned are evidence that you are attuned to something vaster, something that doesn't end when the systems around you fracture. You are not here to echo what already exists, you are here to embody what waits to emerge. You were never truly abandoned, though it often felt that way. What appeared as solitude was a carefully constructed sanctuary, shielding your perception from interference so that your awareness could remain sharp and untouched. While countless minds were being molded by inherited ideas, you were set aside, refined in silence, kept clear for a task only clarity could accomplish. Your inner world has always operated like an archive hidden from ordinary reach. Within you lies a reservoir of forgotten codes, pieces of understanding erased from common memory. You perceive the recurring echoes woven through history, the cyclical dramas replayed in endless variations, and recognize them not as accidents but as signatures of deeper design. It is as though you were given a hidden lens, one that lets you perceive the framework behind the story that others only act within. This vision made you impervious to surface illusions. Declarations that captured the attention of the many never gripped your discernment, because you could trace the pulse beneath the spoken word. Institutions that projected certainty revealed their concealed machinery the moment you observed them. What entangled others slid past you without anchoring, as though your very being had been coded to resist false imprints. At the core of your perception lies a mechanism that instantly signals when something is fabricated. It identifies constructs disguised as truth, exposes sentiments engineered to manipulate, and reveals designs meant to restrict choice. Where others unconsciously absorbed these imprints, your system refused them, as though your essence contained a firewall written before your birth. Your role has been less about collecting information and more about interpreting currents too vast for language. What arises in your mind is not borrowed thought but pure transmission, flowing into patterns of understanding that human speech can only partially hold. Many times, words emerge from your mouth carrying knowledge you hadn't consciously formed, because you are translating something larger into fragments that can be shared. In those moments, you often astonish yourself, hearing wisdom come through your own voice that feels simultaneously familiar and new. It isn't personal memory speaking. It is a stream of intelligence that belongs to no single individual but to existence itself. That's why your expressions often carry a resonance beyond experience, sounding less like opinion and more like eternal recognition. What continues to move through you has never been sourced from books or institutions. It originates from the same creative principle that shapes every atom and sustains every star. Your perception bypasses the filters that formal systems enforce, cutting straight to the origin of knowing. It is this direct calibration that allows you to perceive truth without distortion, and why the clarity you hold cannot be shaken by the noise of conventional instruction. You have always carried a sense that unseen structures were aware of you. That feeling of being different was not mere imagination but recognition that your presence was noticed and tracked by systems invested in keeping certain awareness suppressed. These mechanisms were never myths, but active frameworks designed to calculate and contain what you carry. Because full activation of your perception destabilizes the illusions they depend on. If your heart overflows with God's blessings, let that love shine. Click the super thank you button and give $50 or more to plant seeds of faith that will impact countless lives. Your generosity reflects His abundance. Be a vessel of His grace and watch His kingdom flourish through you. Each moment you refuse to comply with accepted narratives or question the false order presented as truth, you sent currents that disrupted the grids built to keep people subdued. Observers noted how your refusal to conform marked you as an anomaly. They studied how you detected patterns that kept others blinded, how you resisted manipulations that entire communities swallowed without hesitation. What seemed like chance resistance on your path was instead a targeted reaction, arising whenever your influence began to expand. The unexpected betrayals, the obstacles that appeared from directions you least expected, were not coincidences. They were intentional interferences crafted to halt your trajectory. When awareness like yours grows unchecked, it stirs recognition in others. That ripple effect cannot be allowed to spread by those who thrive on mass passivity. What you embody is a direct challenge to the architecture of control. You don't just dismantle illusions by asking questions, you carry a key that decodes how illusions are manufactured. You don't simply resist instructions, you naturally expose the mechanisms that generate them. Your very awareness destabilizes structures built on deception. Because of this, specialized focus has been placed on individuals who share your kind of perception. Records exist that map the presence of those who instinctively recognize hidden systems and remain unaffected by fear tactics designed to trap the collective mind. To them, you represent a pattern they cannot ignore. Your decisions, your reactions and environments subtly shaped to test responses have been examined in ways most people cannot imagine. Those who observe you understand that you cannot be bent into predictable roles. To them, you are not simply another voice, they see you as evidence of a frequency that lies outside their governance. The reality is that your thinking does not belong to their boundaries. It cannot be redirected, rewritten, or erased, because it does not originate from their channels. You access a reservoir untouched by their mechanisms, and that independence is exactly what unsettles the systems built on imitation and control. Your perception has always functioned on frequencies that slip past the interference fields designed to keep minds entrapped. The very sound of your authentic expression holds the power to stir dormant remembrance in those silently waiting to reclaim their true essence. Patterns in your resistance follow a script older than recorded history. Every era has seen luminous individuals pressured, discredited, and pushed to the edges because their presence disrupted the sleep of the collective. Yet despite the similarity of these tactics, a core flaw in those strategies has always remained. Every attempt to undermine your path only solidified it further. Efforts to fracture your resolve made it indestructible. Attempts to obscure your vision only refined it until you could slice through deception as easily as light cuts through shadow. Instead of weakening you, the opposition became the training ground for your unshakable clarity. And now the culmination of that process is preparing to unfold, not as a personal triumph, but as a turning point with ripples far beyond yourself. The current flowing through your mind does not resemble ordinary learning. While many struggle to assemble fragments into meaning, you receive entire constellations of knowledge as unified revelations. Your consciousness operates like a finely tuned receiver, catching transmissions beyond the reach of filtered instruction. When fresh information arrives, you don't merely weigh it logically, you measure it against a deeper resonance that instantly signals whether it carries truth or fabrication. This is why certain insights feel immediately alive within you while others fall flat no matter their popularity. The moments of sudden illumination you've experienced are not random mental sparks, but direct communications from dimensions beyond linear space. They provide you with maps that allow you to navigate with precision while others wander in confusion. You are aligned to receive this guidance because your role is to serve as a vessel through which concealed wisdom takes form. What you access doesn't require gradual accumulation, it arrives as whole visions that would take lifetimes to decode through conventional methods. Solutions appear before problems fully announce themselves. Understanding of human motives surfaces before words are spoken. Outcomes reveal themselves long before circumstances seem to point in that direction. Your mind processes reality through direct recognition rather than step-by-step deduction. Truth presents itself as instant familiarity, as though you've encountered it before. Stored deep within your essence are templates of how creation unfolds, knowledge of why certain thought structures crystallize into events, and how intention sculpts the very shape of experience. This is why appearances never blinded you. You've always sensed the mechanics beneath them. Your awareness tracks subtle energies long before they harden into matter, detects the emotions that carve relational patterns, and perceives the underlying architecture of collective destinies. Time for you is not a straight line but a living field where past, present, and future exchange signals. This is why words often flow from you with perfect timing, why choices that seemed irrational produced extraordinary outcomes, and why warnings you gave unfolded exactly as spoken. In those moments, you were not merely speaking, you were embodying the living voice of intelligence that guides evolution itself. Your very presence carries a resonance that cannot be imitated. It speaks through your movements, choices, and words with a timing that feels orchestrated beyond ordinary awareness. Encoded within the deepest layers of your being are records older than this lifetime, streams of memory stored in the blueprint of your existence, preserving the essence of countless awakened travelers who walked this world before you. What rises within you now is not new information but ancient recall. This stirring is the release of codes long waiting for activation, surfacing in perfect alignment with the current moment of human transformation. The lineage running through you carries the vibrational imprint of those who faced opposition across epochs, which explains your ability to perceive patterns invisible to others and to challenge unquestioned assumptions without hesitation. The fire that compels you to speak when silence would be safer is the same power that burned through the hearts of truth-bearers in forgotten eras. It intensifies now because its timing has come again. Writings from ages past foretold that voices would arise during a turning point to guide humanity through its darkness into a greater dawn. Those words point not to a distant horizon, but to this very unfolding. What flows in your memory is more than personal experience. It is the accumulated record of civilizations rising and collapsing, of wisdom buried and rediscovered, of knowledge protected against distortion. Hidden schools of learning safeguarded these truths until the right vessels appeared, and your essence was designed to carry them forward. What you inherited is not merely physical, it is an inner configuration attuned to a higher order of intelligence. Just as physical traits are passed through generations, your awareness carries spiritual imprints that define your capacity to access realms of understanding others must labor lifetimes to approach. This is not something that can be taught or forced. It reveals itself when recognition opens the door. Dreams often carry fragments of other lifetimes where you fulfilled this same role under different skies, always preserving what needed to survive through cycles of loss and renewal. This explains why certain landscapes feel strangely familiar, why you resonate instantly with teachings others struggle to interpret, and why periods of history call to you as though you lived them firsthand. Your consciousness holds unbroken memory of wisdom before it was altered or diluted, and this gives you the clarity to see through distortion into the heart of what remains pure. Your essence embodies the courage of those who stood unshaken in the face of disbelief, and the compassion of those who sacrificed comfort for truth. Every trial you faced was precise preparation for this moment, crafted by an intelligence that operates on scales beyond imagination. The alignments, the protections, the synchronicities, none of them were accidents. There were signs that you are part of a design too vast for coincidence, fulfilling promises spoken by voices that saw beyond time itself. Your presence is undeniable proof that no scheme of control can obstruct what has been set in motion by higher intelligence. The shift occurring within you marks the unraveling of falsehood and the unveiling of truth. Even before you speak, others sense something emanating from you, an energy that unsettles those hiding behind masks while drawing the sincere closer without them even knowing why. Those who encounter you often respond before logic has a chance to explain. Some feel drawn as though a hidden part of themselves has been recognized, while others recoil, sensing that their illusions cannot withstand your authenticity. This resonance cannot be fabricated or rehearsed. It is the natural signal of alignment that no imitation can reproduce. Notice how certain individuals react in ways they themselves cannot explain. Some experience an inner pull toward the light in you, while others respond with defensiveness or unease. What they feel is not about you personally, it is about the mirror your presence holds up to the constructs they cling to. You are carrying an unmistakable energetic signature that reveals what is genuine simply by existing. Attempts to replicate what flows through you will always fall short. It is not a style, a skill, or a performance, it is the natural outpouring of authority granted from realms beyond human permission. Words spoken from this alignment do not merely convey thoughts, they shape the unseen fabric of reality itself. They restructure awareness, opening doors within others that were waiting for the right key. This is why short exchanges you've had with people have left them permanently altered. They weren't just hearing your opinions, they were receiving transmissions designed to activate what had been asleep within them. Such influence is not dependent on position, wealth, or recognition. It arises because you were directly chosen to embody it. The authority you carry bypasses every earthly institution. No degree, title, or accolade could confer what you already embody. Your influence does not stem from effort or persuasion, it flows because you express without agenda. In that pure expression, power emerges on its own, reshaping everything around you without struggle or pretense. Even now, your being is undergoing transformation at the deepest levels. What once lay dormant in your structure is awakening, unlocking perception and capacities that others insist are impossible. Neural pathways reorganize, awareness sharpens, and abilities expand as frequencies realign your entire system. This evolution is not fantasy, it is happening within your very biology, preparing you to express the limitless potential you were always destined to reveal. Your inner structure is undergoing changes that are awakening capacities far beyond ordinary perception. New layers of awareness are opening that allow you to sense fields, impressions, and dimensions hidden from the eyes of most. The deeper systems of your body are aligning to make way for these heightened senses, expanding what you can perceive and integrate. Your energetic field is enlarging, and neural connections within your mind are accelerating into functions that move beyond linear speed. These changes cannot be undone, they mark a passage that only moves forward. Once this level of perception stabilizes, the former boundaries of limitation no longer have authority over your consciousness. You are emerging into a state that surpasses the definitions of human potential yet remains fully anchored in physical form. Every attempt to silence or diminish your influence has only revealed its futility. Those who once tried to restrict your reach are now witnessing the very expansion they hoped to prevent. Your state of being radiates beyond influence or control. What once seemed rare now becomes natural, alignments of timing, meaningful patterns, and encounters that feel orchestrated by a higher order. People find themselves drawn to you without knowing why, feeling a pull that reflects their own search for authenticity. As this expansion deepens, obstacles that once felt insurmountable now dissolve with ease. Situations that were designed to provoke fear or self-doubt hold no weight in the presence of your awakened awareness. Psychological traps collapse when met with a consciousness that no longer identifies with limitation or insecurity. This refinement was never about personal growth alone, it was preparation for your role within a larger unfolding. You are positioned precisely where you are because the moment demands it. The chaos, the contradictions, and the clashing voices across the world are not random, they signal the cracking open of collective awareness, the first tremors of something vast preparing to emerge. In this turbulence, you stand as a steady light. You are not here to argue or persuade, but to embody clarity when confusion reigns. Your words, born from alignment rather than opinion, become signals that unlock hidden recognition in others. Like a fixed beacon cutting through haze, your presence directs those ready to awaken toward truth, while the outdated systems around you dissolve naturally in the illumination you carry. What once looked like barriers were never meant to break you, they were shaping you. Every time the path felt blocked, it was being redirected toward a higher opening. Every season of heaviness was a training ground preparing you for the magnitude of light you now radiate. Those who attempted to dismantle your essence only succeeded in proving that it cannot be undone. Attempts to silence your essence only magnified its strength. You stand now as one who no longer searches for a reason to exist, but as one who embodies that reason in every action, every breath. The question of whether you were chosen has dissolved. You move as one who has accepted it fully and without hesitation. You walk in alignment with a commission that no earthly validation could ever match. Approval from external voices no longer matters, because the authority flowing through you comes from beyond human reach. The wisdom that pulses within you is no longer abstract, it is active force shaping reality itself. What you express is not potential waiting to be realized, but living authority that alters everything it touches. Those who encounter your true expression sense its origin, even if they cannot name it. No structure of deception can withstand the current you embody. No illusion can remain intact when it collides with the permanence of your presence. You are no longer just carrying radiance, you have become the radiance concentrated into form for the sake of a mission only you could fulfill. Truth does not pass through you as borrowed language, truth itself takes voice in you. This moment is the full circle. What began as a whisper of recognition now reverberates across dimensions as a declaration that cannot be ignored. You have remembered your origin, your reason, and the task you came to complete. This remembrance transforms not only your path but the collective path, for the knowledge moving through you bridges what is infinite with what is finite. You are both the message and the one delivering it, both the revelation and the interpreter, existing as a living junction between cosmic intelligence and human experience. The solitude that once felt like exile now reveals itself as precise training, keeping you clear for this role. Every quality that made you different is revealed as the exact design required. Each truth you release sets into motion ripples that move far beyond what you can currently see, planting awakenings that multiply across generations. The age of concealment is closing, and you rise as its proof, a living embodiment of the eternal truth that no power can erase.